If you can change the way you think, you can transform not just your finances, but your health, your relationships, your destiny. Because money, success, happiness, they are not goals in themselves. They are the results of a mind that's been trained to think in a way that creates them. Tonight, we start that training. Here's the truth. Your life today is nothing more than the sum total of the thoughts you've allowed to live in your mind. Every choice you've made, every dollar you've earned or lost, every relationship you've built or broken, all of it began as a thought. Now, most people guard their money more carefully than they guard their mind. Isn't that strange? They'll lock their wallet in a safe, but they'll leave their thinking wide open to gossip, to fear, to the opinions of people who aren't even going anywhere themselves. So, let's talk about it. How to think correctly, not wishfully or casually, but to think with such clarity, such purpose, such discipline, that your life cannot help but rise to match the quality of your thoughts. If I could give you one truth that has changed the course of my life, it's this: knowledge compounds faster than money. See, money grows when you put it to work, but knowledge grows even when you're sleeping if you've planted the right seeds. Years ago, I discovered that the size of my bank account would never exceed the size of my thinking. If my knowledge was small, my opportunities were small. But when my understanding expanded, my choices multiplied, my confidence grew, and my ability to spot wealth-building opportunities sharpened, that's why I made a personal commitment, an unshakable rule, to invest in my financial education as consistently as I invested in my business. Month after month, without fail, I would read one book, attend a seminar, or listen to a program that would stretch my thinking. Not everything I learned was immediately useful, but every lesson became a brick in the foundation of my success. Some people say, what if I spend all this time learning and I never use it? I say, what if you need it one day and you don't have it? Knowledge is the kind of wealth no one can take away from you, and it pays the highest dividends for a lifetime. When I first started earning, I made the mistake of thinking I'd save whatever was left over at the end of the month. You can guess how much was left. Nothing. So I reversed the formula. Instead of saving last, I saved first. I automated a percentage of my income to go straight into an account I wouldn't touch. That way, my future was funded before my present got too comfortable. You see, the greatest temptation is to spend as much as you make, sometimes more. But when you lock away your savings before you even see it, you remove that temptation entirely. Over time, this simple act became the invisible engine of my financial growth. Discipline may feel small in the moment, but it's the quiet force that builds empires over decades. Wealth doesn't just appear because you earn more. It grows in the gap between what you make and what you spend. That gap is the seedbed of your future freedom. The problem is, most people don't protect that space. The moment their income rises, their spending rises even faster. New paycheck, new car. Bigger bonus, bigger house. Before long, they've traded opportunity for appearances. I learned early that the size of your bank account is not determined by the size of your paycheck, but by the size of your discipline. When I first increased my income, I made a commitment. No lifestyle upgrades until I had secured my financial foundation. That meant saying no to unnecessary subscriptions, postponing the luxury purchase, and asking myself before every expense, does this bring me closer to my goals or further away? It's not about deprivation, it's about direction. Living below your means doesn't mean living without joy. It means living with intention. The smaller your expenses compared to your income, the more money is left to work for you. And the more money working for you, the sooner you'll be free from the necessity of working for money. Most people confuse movement with progress. They fill their days with activity, but at the end of the week, they're no closer to financial independence than they were before. That's because not all work is created equal. Some work maintains your life, some work organizes it, but there's a special category of work that builds it. Income-generating activity. Early in my career, I fell into the trap of looking busy. I answered every email, organized every file, attended every meeting, but I wasn't moving the needle. Then I realized the hours I spent selling, creating, negotiating, or closing deals were the hours that actually built my future. The rest? Support work. Necessary, but not the driver. Here's the truth. If you spend 80% of your day on activities that directly lead to income, you'll reach your goals in a fraction of the time. Ask yourself daily, is what I'm doing right now increasing my income? If the answer is no, adjust. Because wealth comes from focus, and focus means giving your best energy to what truly pays. Tough times have a way of exposing what we're really made of. When money is flowing and opportunities are plenty, discipline feels easy. But when the market slows, when expenses rise, or when that unexpected bill lands in your mailbox, that's when your true financial character steps into the light. Most people respond to pressure by retreating, cutting all growth activities, halting investments, abandoning savings. But here's the problem. If you stop planting seeds in the winter, you'll have nothing to harvest in the spring. Discipline is not seasonal, it's a commitment, especially when it's uncomfortable. I remember a year in my early days when business took a nosedive. It would have been easy to spend every penny just to feel secure. But instead, I made a decision. I would save something, anything, every single month. I would keep investing even if the amounts were small. I would keep reading, keep learning, keep sharpening my skills. That habit didn't just preserve my finances, it preserved my identity as someone who's always moving forward. Tough times don't last, but the habits you either keep or break during them can shape your financial destiny for years. Hold the line and you'll come out stronger than you went in. Every financial setback carries within it the seed of a greater opportunity, if you're willing to look for it. Most people see a loss, a failed investment, or a bad decision as the end of the road. But it's not the end, it's feedback. It's life tapping you on the shoulder, saying, here's something you need to learn before you move to the next level. I've had my share of financial bruises. Early on, I invested in a business I didn't fully understand. I trusted enthusiasm more than numbers, and it cost me dearly. At the time, it felt like a punch in the gut. But after the sting wore off, I sat down and wrote out every mistake I made, why I didn't ask the right questions, what signs I ignored, how I could have structured the deal differently. That process transformed a loss into a lesson, and those lessons became part of my investment philosophy moving forward. That's why I tell people, journal your mistakes, put them on paper, review them monthly, not so you can beat yourself up, but so you can make sure you never pay the same tuition twice. A setback is just tuition for the school of success, only valuable if you graduate to a wiser version of yourself. It's easy to get fired up for a week, to go all in for a short burst of time, to make big declarations about how you're going to change your financial life. But the truth is, wealth isn't built in a weekend seminar or a moment of inspiration. It's built in the quiet, ordinary days where you choose discipline over distraction. Intensity is exciting, but it fades. Consistency, though, it compounds, just like interest. I remember meeting a young man who told me he was going to save $10,000 in the next month. I admired his drive, but I asked him a question. What will you do the month after that? He paused because his plan was all about intensity, not longevity. Instead, I suggested something different. Start with saving $10 every day, no matter what. Doesn't sound impressive, right? But over a year, that's $3,650. And once you have the habit, increasing the amount becomes second nature. When you save or invest something every single day, you stop making it a special event and start making it part of who you are. And when your habits become part of your identity, the results are inevitable. The real secret? Consistency doesn't just grow your money, it grows you. Most people measure their financial progress by how much they earn, but income is only part of the story. You can make a great salary and still be broke if you spend it all. True financial health is measured by your net worth, the difference between what you own and what you owe. It's the scoreboard that tells you if you're actually winning the wealth game. When I first learned this, I was making more money than I ever had before, yet my bank account told a different story. I was chasing income but ignoring assets, buying things that looked good but didn't grow my wealth. The day I sat down and listed every asset, cash, investments, property, and every liability, loans, debts, obligations, was the day I finally faced the truth. That number, whether big or small, was my reality. Tracking your net worth monthly or quarterly keeps your focus on building lasting wealth, not just making more money. It forces you to ask, is what I'm buying today going to grow my assets or my liabilities? The goal isn't just to make more, it's to keep more, grow more, and owe less. Because income pays the bills, but net worth buys freedom. Scarcity thinking is like living in a room with the curtains drawn. You can only see the shadows. You focus on what's missing, what's wrong, and what you can't do. And the more you think that way, the smaller your world becomes. Abundance thinking, on the other hand, throws the curtains wide open. You begin to see opportunities where others see obstacles. You start believing there is more ideas, more money, more chances, if you're willing to go looking for them. Early in my journey, I lived with a scarcity mindset. I was afraid to spend $1, not because I was disciplined, but because I didn't believe I could make another one. That fear made me timid, and timidity never built anything great. The shift happened when I started practicing gratitude every single day. I wrote down 3 things I already had: skills, relationships, resources, and then I envisioned where I wanted to be financially. Gratitude grounded me, vision pulled me forward. You can't plant seeds in a field you believe is barren. Start by acknowledging the blessings you already have, then picture the future you want. When your mind is full of possibility, your hands will find the work to make it real. Clarity is the great accelerator of achievement. When you know exactly what you're aiming for, your energy stops scattering and starts concentrating. Most people drift through life with vague wishes. I want to be rich. I want to be debt-free. But those are clouds, not targets. A cloud floats. A target gets hit. The day I started writing down my financial goals with specifics, how much, by when, and why, it was as if a fog lifted. I knew where I was going, and my actions began to line up with that destination. Visualization is the mental rehearsal for success. Every day, I would take a few minutes to picture the results I wanted in vivid detail, the numbers in my bank account, the home I would own, the freedom of my schedule. That picture pulled me forward when the work felt heavy. It kept my choices in check. Suddenly, saying no to wasteful spending was easy because I wasn't just avoiding loss, I was moving toward a clear vision. Whether it's a vision board on your wall or a journal you read every morning, keep your goals in plain sight. If you can see it daily, you'll think about it daily, and what you think about daily has a way of becoming real. Relying on a single paycheck is like balancing your future on a one-legged stool. Any shift, and you're on the ground. I learned early in my career that if my livelihood depended on just one source, I was never truly free. That job could end, that client could leave, that market could turn, and when it did, I'd be scrambling instead of strategizing. The wealthy think differently. They don't just work for money, they set money to work in multiple places at once. They build streams, not puddles. One flows from a business, another from investments, another from real estate, maybe even royalties or digital products. Each one strengthens the others, so when one slows, the others keep moving. I remember when my speaking career was thriving, but I knew I needed something that could keep growing even when I wasn't on a stage. I started small, investing in income-generating assets, developing programs that could sell while I slept. Over time, those streams began to match, then surpass my main income. That's when I understood. Security isn't about how much you make from one source, it's about how many sources you have. If you want stability, build it, one new stream at a time. One of the quickest ways to rob yourself of peace and slow down your wealth journey is to measure your life against someone else's highlight reel. I've seen people earn more than they ever imagined, only to spend it faster just to keep up with friends, family, or strangers they don't even know. That's not progress. That's financial slavery with prettier chains. Wealth is deeply personal. Your numbers, your goals, your timeline, they belong to you. Comparing them to someone else's is like planting an apple tree and getting upset it's not growing mangoes. You don't know the sacrifices, the risks, the sleepless nights behind another person's success, or if it's even real. Many of those flashy lifestyles are paid for on credit, not cash. Early in my career, I was tempted to copy the habits of someone making more than me. I bought things they had, took trips they took, but the truth was, I didn't know their balance sheet. I learned that my job wasn't to imitate someone else's results, it was to stay consistent with my own plan. Your race is yours alone. When you stop glancing sideways, you'll find you can run faster and further toward your own finish line. Gratitude is one of the most profitable habits you can build, though it pays in ways the bank can't measure. Every day, before you think about what's missing, take inventory of what's already here. The roof over your head, the meal on your table, the skills you've gained, the opportunities in front of you. These are assets, and they deserve your attention. When you're grateful, you're not blind to your goals. You're just not consumed by the gap between here and there. Gratitude has a strange way of making the journey lighter. It keeps you grounded when money is flowing, and it keeps you hopeful when it's tight. I've found that a grateful person is more resourceful because they see possibilities where others see problems. Early in my career, when I had very little, I kept a simple notebook where I wrote 3 things I was grateful for each morning. Some days it was a small sale. Some days it was simply the fact that I woke up healthy. Over time, this practice didn't just change my mood, it changed my mindset, and my mindset changed my results. Abundance starts in the heart long before it shows up in the bank. We've covered ideas, strategies, and habits that can completely reshape your financial future, but here's the truth. None of this will work if it stays in your notebook. Knowledge is only potential power. It's the consistent application of what you know that turns potential into results. Most people get inspired for a day, maybe a week, and then fall back into the same routines that keep them stuck. But the wealthy, the free, the ones who live life on their own terms, they turn principles into patterns. They act whether the mood is there or not. They understand that discipline is the bridge between desire and achievement. So here's the challenge. Before the day ends, choose one thing you've learned here and put it into action immediately. Maybe it's starting your financial journal. Maybe it's automating your savings. Maybe it's cutting one unnecessary expense and sending that money into an investment account. Don't wait for perfect timing. Perfect timing is a myth. And don't aim for giant leaps every day. Aim for progress. A small, deliberate action done daily is worth more than an occasional burst of effort. If you commit to showing up for your future self every single day, even in ways that feel small, you will wake up one day to find your life completely transformed. Your finances will be stronger, your options wider, your freedom greater. The clock is ticking. Wealth doesn't wait for the hesitant. Take what you've heard today and move, because the sooner you start, the sooner you live the life you've imagined.